Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Entrepreneur Rescue Mission. This is a Time to Grow production. So, we're super excited about today's episode. Obviously, as we talked about last week, we were talking about really why it's important to build the right type of network of connections on LinkedIn, who you're selling to without selling, power partners, business allies, ideal clients. And today we're talking about why high ticket offers are best for LinkedIn. Now, that's a loaded question. So everyone has a different meaning to what high ticket means, and we're going to kind of dive into that. But before we do, just as a reminder, in just a couple of weeks, we're going to be starting another free 5-day workshop. It's called Scale Your Business Using LinkedIn. It's a 5-day workshop where we're teaching you all the core foundational things that you need to do to grow and scale your business, specifically using LinkedIn. So if you would like to register, it's completely free. It's from April 21st to April 25th from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And to do so, just go to the description, the show notes, or the email that gets broadcasted out so you guys can register there. And we do hope to see you there. So, Nancy, if someone was to ask you why is LinkedIn best for high ticket offers, how would you answer that?
I would say it's probably one of the best platforms to build know, like, and trust and really connect authentically with decision makers. It is the platform where, I mean, we're going to talk about some of the statistics shortly, but it's
Well, you
a, it's,
just you just talked about one. So what percentage of people are in a decision-making role on LinkedIn?
I think it's over 88%.
88%. That's right.
Yeah, 88%. And the thing is it's a platform where there are people on there who are in that position, right, to hire others. They're looking, usually for some kind of development or leadership tips and expertise and advice. It's such an amazing platform. And what I will say is it's also one of those platforms that's incredibly concentrated. And so that's what we're going to kind of dive a little bit deeper into.
So first, let's clarify what a high ticket offer is. So again, everyone has, I would say, a different monetary value that correlates to high ticket. For Nancy and I, we always say kind of the the barrier of entry for high ticket is $1,000 or more. So maybe you have $1,000 DIY course. Maybe you have a multiple four-figure group coaching program. Maybe you have a five-figure consulting fee, right? We had a client recently that just booked a multiple five-figure business proposal that just got accepted and paid using LinkedIn the way that we taught them. So that's what we want to talk about as far as high tickets. So this could be for a course that you have, it could be for a group coaching program, a mastermind. This could be for a high-level consulting gig, speaking, and such. Now, Nancy kind of forementioned about the decision makers on LinkedIn, and she was right on the money. 88% of the 1 billion people, right? So that's 880 million people on LinkedIn are in some sort of decision-making role, whether that's from a personal or business standpoint. So from a personal standpoint, they may be an independent coach or consultant. They may be an independent finance representative or insurance broker, law profession, accountant, such and such. Or from a business perspective, it could be a CEO, a COO, a founder, a business owner. Recently, I just got onboarded to work with an amazing company in Alabama, which I'm totally excited about. They're part of the, real estate and construction field, which it was a referral from one of my clients. And the fact is that when you are on a platform where the law of numbers are in your favor, so if you think about it, if there's 880 million decision makers on LinkedIn, then there's 112 million offers to those decision makers. So it's almost like an 8 to 1, almost 9 to 1 ratio account wise from decision maker to provider. So you want to make sure that you're spending time on a platform where there are more decision makers than providers. So if you start looking at some of the other platforms like Instagram and Facebook, I guarantee you the numbers are skewed in the opposite direction. Everybody's selling, everybody's pitching, everyone's offering something. And the fact of the matter is that LinkedIn is one of those standout platforms for people that have high ticket offerings because nearly out of every 10 accounts, 9 of them are in a decision making role in one way, shape, or form. Now, the second thing that we kind of wanted to touch on, and Nancy, I want to hear your thoughts and feelings on this. You always talk about something called the passive engagers, right? The people that are just kind of like looking at people's content. And people might say, well, Nancy, Scott, what does that have to do with being able to sell my high ticket offering? Well, when you realize that 99% of the accounts on LinkedIn are engaging in thought-provoking content, not producing it, you have that ultimate visibility. It's almost like that billboard effect. So, Nancy, how impactful is it to know that only 1% of the LinkedIn population is producing one piece of content or more per week?
Well, I think, yeah, it's two things. I mean, you said passive engagers, right? So looking at it from two different angles, right? I think the 1% of people actually creating content, meaning, you're on there, you're doing the do, you're putting thought leadership content out there, you're solving problems for people, right? You're kind of, again, building that credibility, that know, like, and trust, right? That's only 1%, right? So 99% of people, just what Scott was saying, are not even posting content. They're just kind of scrolling and trolling. And from that aspect, right, what Scott was saying with the silent engagers, a lot of those people aren't even liking, loving, or sharing, right? They're just kind of scrolling through, looking, and then going, oh, okay, and scrolling along. So that's why LinkedIn's algorithm works different than any other platform, right? It doesn't go by just like loves, what we call sometimes the vanity metrics, right? There's people, in fact, I have clients who on the surface, right, what everyone else can see is maybe 7 likes. And then behind the scenes, what we're celebrating is 1,000, 10,000 impressions, right? Something like that, where 10,000 people are actually seeing your content. And the thing is LinkedIn, the way that the algorithm works, and it's always changing, right? It actually measures how long people are scrolling and looking through your content and looking at it. So I think the thing to note is I think a lot of people get discouraged, and it's a big misconception that, oh, I'm going to post a bunch, and if I don't see likes, loves, nothing's working. Right. The thing is a lot of times it is working and it starts to be somewhat of a snowball effect, right? As long as you're using LinkedIn in the right way, and you are building the know, like, and trust, right? You're putting content out there that is value. Like, right, we're not talking about garbage. So if you're putting a bunch of spammy garbage, which is just like, buy me, whatever, that's not going to fly. But if you're putting actual value, right, do the test where when you hit the post button, is this something that your audience is honestly going to resonate with? Is it something that they're going to care about? Is it something that they're going to find value in? If it passed those tests, again, with that snowball effect, eventually, right, things will pick up. Your audience will see. You'll be top of mind when someone's ready, to hire you in some capacity. What I want to dig a little deeper into, though, Scott, is what do you think? Because this comes up all the time, right? What do you think the biggest misconception is by people timing wise when it comes to actually selling high ticket offers? And what I mean by that is, what is someone who might hire you like, hey, how quick am I going to get results? Or,
Yeah.
what is this going to look like, right? What is the biggest misconception you see there whenever it comes to selling the high ticket programs?
I think no matter what you're selling, whether it's low, mid, or high ticket, especially on LinkedIn, it's a slow burn, right? It's about the seed planting that will allow you to reap the harvest. So if you're jumping onto LinkedIn thinking you're going to get quick wins within a couple days or even weeks, don't even bother. And this is why people end up failing at using LinkedIn because they don't have this long game approach or this marathon approach, right? It's not about the sprint, it's about the marathon, it's about the distance of it. And when you come into LinkedIn saying, you know what, I'm going to dedicate the next 12 months to using this platform properly, that mindset of that person coming into LinkedIn, they will crush it on the platform because we always talk about expectation over observation. So that person is giving themselves that whole 12 months worth of grace to build out their profile properly, build and foster those network of connections and get those messages out there, start booking some strategy calls, start producing content. So it's almost like a way to decrease the overwhelm because they know they have a full year of focus, so they can kind of tweak things along the way. But that other person on the other end of the spectrum that's coming into this saying, I, I'm I'm in this desperation mode where I got to get a sale right now. I got to close someone right now. I got to make money on this right now. It's not going to work because LinkedIn is one of those platforms that it takes time to nurture those connections. They have to see your content on a consistent basis. You may have to talk to someone two, three, four, five times. It may take a month to close that person. It may take 6 months to close that person. It may take the entire year. But the fact of the matter is, this is the quality game over the quantity game. And I think this is to no fault of these individuals. The people coming into LinkedIn thinking that they're going to get these quick wins. Yeah. Can that happen time to time? Absolutely. I mean, it really depends on the credibility that person is bringing into it. Maybe they had an existing network of connections that were the right fit and they just had to switch their messaging and their content around and they started to get noticed a little bit more. Or they just connected with the right person at the right time. There are always those unicorn effect type of things. But I don't blame these people for wanting quick results. I blame the spammy marketers out there that are advertising to these people, oh, you can generate thousands of leads on LinkedIn a week. You can generate thousands of connections. You can generate thousands of sales. You can make 10 figures in 10 days on LinkedIn. It's not the user's fault. It's actually the marketer's responsibility. And I point the finger at all of those people like there needs to, it's almost like there needs to be a better business bureau for like coaches and consultants
Oh, yeah.
that are advertising, I would say falsely advertising, because I've talked about this before with you, Nancy, those people that promote that you can generate hundreds of leads on LinkedIn each week is complete bullshit
And what
because
they're considering even leads is,
exactly. Well, it's not even that. Even if you considered an accepted connection a lead, you're only allowed to send 100 connections a week, which means you would need a 100% acceptance ratio. And no one is getting that. The average acceptance ratio is anywhere between 25 to 35%, 35% on the high end. So that's 35 new connections, which are not even leads, because then you got to message them to
yeah.
get them on a call. And that's why I get so fired up about this, because so many more people, and this is why people in our programs kill it. They crush it on LinkedIn. We had one of our clients reach out to us. Nance, what did Teresa say? How many comments did she have or views on her
Oh,
post?
yeah, it was
Like
like 300.
20,000?
Well, I mean, she had hundreds of likes. Yeah.
Hundreds of likes, but probably 20,000 impressions. But this is what I mean. Like, you have to play the long game on LinkedIn. I call it the retirement plan for your social media strategy. And when you're looking to, that compound effect, it's the daily deposits that you make that really produce those long-term results.
Yeah. And like just to add to that, I mean, so many clients that we've had who have taken the action. And I mean, honestly, huge shout out to them. I mean, I just, I wrote down some names because I'm like, oh my gosh, remember this, remember that, remember this. Like the people that actually have taken action and consistently posted and consistently built that value and connected with the right people and did all those things. Like we hear success stories, guys, and this is after doing it, right, for a while, right? That snowball effect that it's built over time. And we've seen them have people reach out and close sales. We've seen speaking engagements, like people who are actually looking for speakers reach out. We had one client actually have, one of the magazines actually reach out, Golf Magazine or Golf Digest, reach out because, they were just posting amazing content in the golfing niche. We've had people close, right, send and close 20,000 plus proposals based on newsletters that they've written. Again, it's not fake, right? This is real stuff that is happening with the simple steps that you can take on LinkedIn. But when I say simple, okay, it's patient, it's intentional, and it is simple, right? But it builds over time. So when you have those three things, it can be actually absolutely game changing for your business. And I'll just add one last thing, Scott, before you jump back in. I listened to an episode the other day and really hats off to Michelle Raymond, who is a LinkedIn strategist, and
Michelle J.
Jay Raymond. Yeah, I
That's
did
how you
that. She
find
said
her.
that. Yeah. So just shout out to her because she really focuses on creating content and using your company pages. She calls it a page advocacy. But she was like, why are we burning thousands of potential amazing leads and amazing connections, right? For the sake of just maybe getting like one person to get on a call with us, Scott.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why are we doing that? And what Scott said too, all these marketers saying, oh, we can get you thousands of this and hundreds of this. Well, guys, if they're doing that and they're actually doing it, that means they are way pushing the limits on
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
Yeah.
Okay. And LinkedIn will flag you, right? It's one of the only platforms that flat out says no, right? It says no, you should not have automation, spammy things. Like you should not be doing that. So you run the risk of having your account shut down. So let's get back to basics. Let's keep things simple and let's use it in the right way.
The last thing that I wanted to finish up with is, the average income that someone makes on LinkedIn is between 75 to $100,000 a year or more. And that's why it ends up being the right sandbox to play in because you actually have people that can afford what you're offering. I talk about this client all the time with Nancy. I have a client, he's amazing. You can look up his content on LinkedIn. His name is Luke Peters. He was a founder and CEO that grew and scaled and sold his business, and now he works with other founders and CEOs how to do what he did. And he picked up his first client within about 4 weeks, and he's picked up five or six since. And it's because he's playing in the right sandbox. He knows that he can go in and search for CEOs and founders. And when your profile is set up the right way, it connects the dots. So again, there's so many things that you need to take into consideration. And I would say none of the things that Nancy and I talked about, whether all the we can throw all the statistics at you that we can. If you don't give LinkedIn a full year of your time and attention and effort, it's not going to work. And here's why we say a full year because it takes about 66 days to create a habit. So if you start applying some of the strategies that we teach over after about 2 or 3 months, it is literally automatic at this point, and you're never going to stop because you start seeing the little wins along the way, and that's what you need to count on. It's not the big wins. It's the small wins that create the big results that you're looking for. So again, before we sign off today, as a reminder, April 21st to April 25th, we are doing a LinkedIn workshop. It's called Scale Your Business Using LinkedIn. It's a 5-day free workshop where we're going to teach you all the things that you need to do to really grow and scale what you have to offer and how to do it using LinkedIn. All you have to do is go to the show notes, the description of this episode, or the email that was sent out in order to listen to this, and you can register there. So everyone, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love and gratitude, and we'll talk to you next time.